Hey, yo, ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today? Questions and answers, bets, props, which are, bets as well, and then your DFS lineups on these 2-game slates, whatever you're playing today. I see a bunch of people already up in the chat. I see Michael. Shout out Michael. Congratulations to Michael in the chat saying he got married. Has not been around the weekend because he got married. Well, nice job. Paul's in the chat. How you doing? Got a bunch of people in the chat already, so I appreciate all of you. Yeah, we got a 2-game slate. 2-game slate in which we have a game 1 and a game 2, and a game 2 that's going to be totally different than the game 1. You can bank on that. I mean, Milwaukee played in the regular season this Nets team without Harden twice, and they won both times. Like, this Milwaukee team, I haven't looked at the update, and I probably should. Series odds. I tried to look at them last night, and I couldn't find the updated odds anywhere. I don't know if they were waiting to see on news on Harden. But yeah, Harden's not going to play again in this series would be my guess. I guess you can't put that definitively, but a strong chance Harden doesn't play again in this series, and I would say a decent chance he doesn't play again in the postseason, even if they were to make it far into the finals. I mean, this is an injury that took him 21 days to come back from during the regular season, and when you re-injure the same injury, it takes longer. It is a damaged part of the body that just got even more damaged. So I would expect this to take Harden, if this was the regular season, 6 weeks, right? 6 to 8 weeks to come back from. If he really wants to push it, which means a high chance of re-injuring himself, I mean, maybe a month. In a month gets him from right now to the NBA Finals. So, yeah, I don't think he's coming back in this series. And that's bad news because Blake Griffin is not going to do the things Blake Griffin did in that last game, every game of the series. Now, Blake Griffin, honestly, on offense, obviously fantastic, but he played very well from a defensive standpoint as well. So, one game, we'll see if that can continue, but pretty cool. What's going on, Mike? How you doing? Sal, do you like Tucker on PrizePicks even though he was starting? The under on Tucker, yeah, I took the under 16 earlier today. Was expecting him to start. Would have liked to seen maybe. I mean, it's too early in the series. And now James Harden is hurt. With Harden hurt, you might have seen a Connaughton come in. You don't need as much defensive forces in the starting lineup because Tucker was switching or would have switched on to Harden if he was in the game for more than 40 seconds, often in his rotations. So there was a chance that you can see it because obviously now there's a different Nets starting lineup going to go out there. We don't know who starts yet. Will it be Mike James, which it could be a little bit of fool's gold today, Mike James, but we'll end up seeing how that goes. Yeah, I still like the under on Tucker. Yep. What's going on, Sal? How you feel about the over on Monty Harris? Monty Morris, I assume you mean. Assists seems really low at only 4. The over on Monty Morris assists today. Monty Morris have it 30 minutes. The over on his assists today, if it's at 4, I would like the over. If it's at 4.5, which I'm seeing 4.5s out there, not as appealing. His PrizePicks right now leaning it at 4. Let me see. On the over on 4, I like that. Yeah, so the over 4 on PrizePicks, that's good. But the if it's 4.5 anywhere, I'm not really taking that. But the 4, we'll take that. So Monty Morris is over 4 assists. So yeah, the next hour or so is going to be just answering your questions. We could pull up the minutes for all these games like we did this morning. But I have some lineups built. We have some props in. We can discuss all that and any questions that you guys have. What's up, Sal? How would throwing a lineup with Booker and Drew as the highest priced guys along with Chris Paul, Porter, and Gordon look? I'm not really into that today. Yeah, I'm just personally not trying to get cute today. Like, you have Giannis, you have Kevin Durant, you have Kyrie, and you have Jokic on the slate. Odds are one of those guys is needed in the lineup. Odds are one of those guys scores 50-plus points, and if that's the case, on a 2-game slate, they're going to be needed in the lineup. And if they're not needed in the lineup, it's because another one of those guys that I just mentioned is scoring 50 to 60-plus points, right? So I'm not trying to go balanced, right? On a slate where there's 4 clear studs, and one of them is just uncapped potential in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and one of them just got the roof blown off of him and Kevin Durant without James Harden and Kyrie to a lesser extent there. I'm not trying to get cute. Like, you just have insane 1.6 point per minute producers in Giannis and Jokic going to play big playoff minutes. You have a 1.5 plus guy right now in Durant going to play 40 minutes. Like, in that last game, they played Kyrie 45 minutes. He took 1 minute of break in the first half or in the second half. Just insane. Durant played 42 minutes. I don't think you're going to see that big of minutes. I think they kind of knew, like, okay, Harden's hurt. We need game 1. Like, we're about to be underdogs in the series. We need game 1 now. So they went out and they got that win. I don't think you see 45 minutes again, though. Is your PrizePicks from this morning still good? You're not going to get them at the same lines for all of them, but yeah, if you can get them at the same lines, yes. What's up, Psychopath? Much love, brother. What's going on, man? Yeah, you watched the podcast. Nice to hear. McCall Bridges over 1.5 assists and CB3 over 3.5 rebounds. Lock them in, says Charlie Nunn. All right. I don't have either right now, but maybe I'll look later on. Best center play today. Brook Lopez. I don't even have to look at that. Brook Lopez is going to be my favorite center play in the day today. So Brook Lopez is my favorite center play in the day. Brook Lopez is, I don't want to say he's a lock, but he is going to be my favorite probably favorite overall play on the slate today. Like, there's better plays on the slate today. High ownership guys like Blake Griffin and Mike James, because there's no depth on that Nets team. There's no size. Blake Griffin is the best value play today, not Mike James. There's a lot of other guards they can put in instead of Mike James. Mike James is absolutely buns on defense, and they're going to need that eventually. Mike James started off the last game 4 of 6 from the field. They got up to a big lead. They didn't need his defense as much, right? So Mike James is not this automatic, he's a lock, put him in there. No. There's a real chance of Mike James, if he starts today, it's hard to get away from a guy at 3,200 on a 2-game slate who, if starting, is going to play 24 minutes, right? And he's a quality offensive player, especially because he's checking right in for Harden, so Harden can't take away that type of usage, right? But Mike James is bad on defense, so there's a real good chance today that you see a lot of minutes out of a Landry Shamet, somebody who can defend a little bit better. You can see split minutes out of Tyler Johnson if he gets hurt or gets hot. So although Mike James' price point makes it hard to get away from him, especially if he's starting, don't think that he's just like this lock of a play. Like, the defense matters in the postseason. So if he's not shooting 4 of 6 on his first 6 shot attempts and making a 3, and he's not producing any offense in his first quarter of run if he starts, don't think that he's locked into second half run, or a significant run at least. But yeah, somebody asked earlier, is the chalk today on Blake Griffin's going to be 50+% on the 2-game slate. He's 4,100. He's going to play massive minutes. They have nobody else. They made it clear in game 1 they don't want to play DeAndre Jordan. That doesn't mean that has to be the case, but they have nobody else. Jeff Green is still out. Now Harden is out, so don't expect the same offensive run, but $4,100 for 32+ minutes today out of Blake Griffin. We can pull up the minutes right now of what I have on Blake Griffin. So right now I put the Nets minutes on the screen right now. The only guy not showing up is Landry Shamet, who I have 18 minutes. I've got Blake Griffin for 33 minutes today. Hard to get away from him. I'm under projecting his production. He's closer to like a 0.9 point per minute guy with Harden out of the lineup. That's a really small sample, though, because Griffin hasn't been on this team long, and Harden was hurt in some of those games where Griffin played. But 0.85, yeah, it's hard to get away from Griffin. He does grade out as the top value play, him and Mike James today for me. I would rather play Blake Griffin, though, because his minutes are actually secure, right? His minutes are actually secure. Hard to see his minutes. Like, there's a chance Mike James can start and play only 20 minutes today. Blake Griffin is not playing 20 minutes barring foul trouble, blowout, or injury, right? So, yeah, Brook Lopez, though, is likely my favorite overall play in the slate. Brook Lopez is going to be owned, but he's not going to be massively, massively owned to the point of some of those other guys. You can expect Brook Lopez to probably be today, 25% owned on a 2-game slate, and that's a mistake. I'll pull up Milwaukee's minutes. People are going to improperly project and expect things out of Brook Lopez today, meaning not having high enough expectations. Brook Lopez in that last game, the game was over with 4.5 minutes left. He was on pace to play 32, 33 minutes. But he checked out after getting his second personal foul, and they've gotten a lot of criticism for this, Milwaukee, the rotations that they put out in that last game, a lot of criticism in like a game or two, and not as much as Philadelphia got with their Danny Green on Trae Young in game 1, brutal. But they've gotten a lot of criticism, and the reason why they've gotten this criticism is they were just not running their starters to a full extent. They took out Brook Lopez after a second foul, I believe, in the second quarter, so it's not like it was anything scary. And he lost about 4 minutes there. So I would argue that Lopez, if that game stayed close, was going to play 36 to 37 minutes. And I would argue today that he's going to play close to that. I only have him at 33, and he already looks fantastic. But I strongly believe that I might put it to 36. And then he's going to look like my favorite play, no doubt about it on the slate. I'm going to get so much of him. And now why do I think he plays more minutes? He's the best rim protector. It's him and Giannis, right? Best rim protectors on the team. You need that when you're going up against this team when Kyrie's going to the paint. Obviously, you have Durant there when you're trying to get anything down low as well. Best rim protector, and he's not stretching as much this year to the three-point range, but I would expect to see that a little bit more than just one three-pointer in game 1, right? So Lopez minutes are going to be massive. Like, he is the biggest piece for them in this series, in my opinion. So, yeah, I like Brook Lopez a lot. You feel more confident Brook Lopez over on real points or his rebounds today? Let me see. Brook Lopez over on real points or rebounds today. I would feel more confident in, I believe, well, I'm on assists. Rebounds or real points. I would feel more confident in real points, but I like fantasy points the most. Rivers or Pat Connaughton? Give me Pat Connaughton. Rivers is going to, I might be lying to you right there. Pat Connaughton is the answer I want if he was to somehow start, but I don't expect them to make that change this quickly. I have Connaughton at 22 minutes. Hard not to go Rivers, so I'm going to go Rivers. I have Rivers right now at 11 more minutes than Connaughton. As much as Connaughton will be a pivot off of Austin Rivers there, it's tough. Like, if Connaughton doesn't start, it's really tough to see him getting that much significant run. Can you play KD, Kyrie, and Giannis? Yeah, if you think you can fit it all. Giannis or Durant today? That is the question of the day, right? I think the answer... Giannis is my number 3 play on the slate. Durant's my number 5 play on the slate. I have Giannis for 63 points, Durant for 57.8. I want to play both of them. I'll take Giannis. If you're forcing me to pick one, give me Giannis, but I want to play both of them. Is Tucker going to start? Tucker is expected to start based on Fantasy Labs report pretty recently. Campaign or Monty Morris? Give me Monty Morris. Campaign is going to see a diminishing role, not only because of his defense, but Chris Paul is damn near 100% healthy would be my expectation. I mean, if you watched any of those that last game, Chris Paul was like 85%, right? 85, 90%. Now he's had a couple more days. I think Chris Paul will be damn near 100%, which means he starts to play 36, 37, 38 minutes and not 32, and that starts to directly pull away from one campaign. Can we play James and Brown in the same lineup? Same question with Griffin and Claxton. I don't want to play Griffin. You can play any of those guys in the same lineup. Yes, the short answer is yes. It's a 2-game slate. Brown can play 22 minutes a day, and James can play 26, and they can both score 20 fantasy points, and then that works. Claxton and Griffin, I'm not as much there in Claxton and Griffin. I don't know how often you'll see Griffin and Claxton on the court together, and that's going to be more of the issue, because if they check directly in for each other, there's an issue there. But they're both so cheap. So the short answer is yes, you can play them both together. My answer is I'm not that appealed to be doing that. James and Brown is fine, though. Bruce Brown or Cam Johnson? Give me Bruce Brown. Bruce or McCall today? Give me McCall Bridges. A lot more minutes coming in for McCall Bridges. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to expect, and we'll see what happens here. I would start Bruce Brown. He's just a lot more. I mean, he started the second half for James Harden, which people are going to forget. I would start Bruce Brown today, and if that's the case, you can see me pretty quickly start to change some of the minutes that I have out there. Like, I have Mike James for 24 minutes and Bruce Brown for 23. If and when Bruce Brown gets the starting nod today, I'll give him 25, 26 and cut down Mike James to 20 to 22. And although it's very risky, and this is the reason I'm not playing as much DraftKings right now, like DFS, and we've been saying that I'm not playing, but I'm not playing as much. I'm playing more prop market, specialty props, and taking some lines on the action, like tonight, plus 2.5 for Milwaukee. We got that one so far for that game, at least. Nothing from the other game from a line standpoint. But it's because your hands are tied when it comes to like Mike James tonight. He's just so cheap. If he just plays 20 minutes, there's a good chance he gets you there. But at 50% ownership, in single entry, I'm very tempted to pivot away from him, and I'm going to. But then it's like, how do you get up to Giannis and KD, right? Do you just say, fuck KD, I'm going to go Kyrie? I'm trying to play Giannis and KD in single entry tonight. Mike James makes it a lot easier to do that, obviously. But so does Bruce Brown plus Blake Griffin, and that's where I would rather lean. Like, I'd rather play Bruce Brown and Blake Griffin tonight than Mike James and Blake Griffin, assuming Brown starts. What are your top plays today? The top projected plays are, I mean, I have a lot of top plays. These are the top point per dollar plays. That being said, this doesn't mean that these are my top interests, right? These are just projection-wise. Like Mike James, I'm telling you right now, I'm probably not going to play him in single entry. I'd rather play Bruce Brown because of ownership. But yeah, I have a lot of yeses for a 2-game slate tonight. I'm really focused in on a player pool tonight. I've got 25 guys in a player pool, but my like tight player pool is 14 yeses. So on Patreon, there's 14 guys that I really like. All the Patrons can see that right now. If you're not a Patreon, you sadly are not as fully informed, but you can check it out down below if you want to. Drew Holiday or Devin Booker? I'll take Drew Holiday. What do we got? The Suns minutes. Yeah, let's pull up the Suns minutes for you. Phoenix's minutes are on the screen right now. Expect Phoenix starters to just run wild in terms of their run, and not much left on the bone for anybody else. It's going to be the Phoenix starters run wild, and then you get some minutes out of Cam Johnson and Campaign. Barely any run. I mean, Kaminsky really shouldn't be in the rotation. Torrey Craig, barely in the rotation. There's not much reason for him to be in the rotation right now. They just score so many points that their defense isn't needed. What's your projection today on Rivers? Yeah, I mean, I think that, I have Suns right now in 6 for that series, but I'm not shocked if it's Suns in 5. I'm really not shocked if it's Suns in 5. So right now I have Rivers projected for 20.4 points. James is a dart throw, but Price is right smack. Yeah, he's a dart throw, but you don't want a dart throw. I mean, he's not as much of a dart throw in a 2-game slate, but a lot of people are overreacting to his last game. And he also got a little bit of an additional run, right, in a series or in a game because they were up by 19, so you're not as worried as much about defense there. But he didn't start the second half, so I think people are forgetting that a little bit. But yeah, so some issues there, I would say, for sure, with Mike James and the fact that he's going to be 50% owned. What's up, Sal? Lopez and KD or Giannis and Brown? Give me Lopez and KD there. I'm that big on Lopez today. Thoughts on Connaughton today? If he doesn't start, I have him at 22 minutes. It makes him in play. If he actually starts to hit some shots, he'll start to see more minutes. It really comes down to the flow of this game. Like, if Milwaukee needs more offense, PJ Tucker comes off the court. If Giannis is on KD, which KD in that game against Giannis late in the game was doing anything you wanted against Giannis, and that's not something we say often. So KD was the best player on the court on both sides of the ball in that last game, and that's including defense. He was absolutely fantastic in crunch time. So, yeah, I think that there's a chance you could see PJ Tucker come off the court, especially late when they need more offense, and that's when you would check in Pat Connaughton over Bryn Forbes, in my opinion. Lopez or Ayton-wise a guy? I'll take Lopez still. You're liking how Harris tonight without Harden? Harris is not going to change much without Harden. Point per minute wise, he stays very similar. I mean, Harris, if you saw in the last game, he just had every open shot an easy shot because they were overcommitting in the paint. And Milwaukee was playing a lot in the paint for a team that normally spaces, playing a lot in the paint, even with Brook Lopez not playing as many minutes, but specifically when he was on the court playing those minutes. They crashed a lot. Joe Harris got open shots. That's kind of how it's been all postseason. You saw Joe Harris's massive game in the series 1 against Boston. Massive game. Joe Harris in the other games was getting all those shots. He's going to shoot like 10 threes, right? He's going to do that. It's just how well is he shooting? That last game he shot well. That game against Boston, he shot well. And then there was like 3 games against Boston where he just stunk. He shot like 30%. So there's no change in my interest in Joe Harris because James Harden is in or out. Joe Harris is not going to play the 4, so you're not going to see a rebounding rate increase. He's still going to shoot his same 10 3-pointers, 8 to 12 we'll call it. Does he make 5 to 7 of them? If that's the case, Joe Harris at his price point looks good. But there's no telling that. He's going to get open looks. It's as simple as that. When you have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on your team, and when Blake Griffin last game is making people actually come out to the 3-point line, the ball movement is there. Kyrie is dishing it. Exactly what Milwaukee should have done in that last game. Giannis go to the basket, try to get fouled. No fouls at all from either team in that game. The refs let him play. Only 3 for Giannis. Free throws, missed all of them. Giannis wasn't dishing it out as much. And when he did, Middleton was bricking. So a lot of stuff is going to change from game 1. Game 1 is no way an indicator of what happens for the rest of the series. It's not even close. Harden not there. Didn't really play, but Harden not there from a starting lineup and game flow strategy standpoint. So many things we can talk about. More minutes for the Bucks guys. Not going to shoot as poorly as they did, 20% from 3, right? Blake Griffin not going to play the way he did. Mike James not going to play the way he did. And if he does, he's going to get screwed on defense. Best pump plays in the $3,000 range. Mike James, Bruce Brown. Mike James, Bruce Brown, that's about it. If you really want to pump with like a Claxton, I'd rather go Cam Johnson. I would probably rank it right now. Bruce Brown, whoever starts between Bruce Brown and Mike James. So let's just say Bruce Brown starts. Bruce Brown, Mike James, Cam Johnson, Connaughton, JaMychal Green, Claxton. Do you like Morris and Bridges? I like Monty Morris over Bridges, but I like them both. Jokic or Lopez on SuperDraft tonight? So SuperDraft tonight, my answer to that one is going to be Jokic. Yeah, I have Jokic right now at 58 fantasy points on SuperDraft. The fact that he's not just a 1x multiplier, he's a 1.05x is pretty appealing. Obviously, Brook Lopez, though, that's Jokic I was talking about. Lopez, though, not enough over there. Pat Connaughton or Mike James? Pat Connaughton would be the pivot. If Mike James doesn't start, Pat Connaughton would be the ultimate pivot for half the ownership. So if you're in a small field single entry, just go Mike James. If you're trying to win $100,000 tonight, Pat Connaughton over Mike James would be the play that I would do. Yes. Is it a problem to have 6 of 8 players from Brooklyn game? No. Joe Harris tonight looks as the same as he does every other night, I believe. How many minutes do you have for Bryn Forbes? Let's pull up those minutes right to now for all of you. Milwaukee minutes, Bryn Forbes, I have currently 22 minutes of play. He's in a player pool, but nowhere near as good. I'd rather have Pat Connaughton. You think Jokic wins the tip tonight? I'm not betting on the tip-offs. If you are, degenerate season has taken over pretty early into the summer. Thoughts on JaMychal Green? He closed out that last game, right, against Portland, although it's like a little bit easier for him to stay on the court in that type of a series. JaMychal Green is not that appealing to me. He's like my 5th favorite $3,000 option. Give me a lower-owned Pat Connaughton who actually has a reason to be on the court a little bit more. But yeah, JaMychal Green, he's fine. He's in a player pool. That's as good as I can say on him, though. Portis is a good play. I don't think so. Portis played bad in the last game. Very, very bad. His plus-minus was only like -3, but that's not the case because they had like that 11-0 run at the end of the game, which is not true of how he actually played. Portis didn't really do much in that last game. He didn't really show much as to why like he actually can do a little bit more. I liked Portis a lot before game 1, but he did not have the best showing and give me confidence in the reason to think that he can do better. Forbes good, not to me. You like Claxton today? Not really. Do you like Griffin over on points? Seems like he is playing more minutes. Yeah, so this morning I have the under on Blake Griffin, 12.5 points. I took the under 12.5 real-life points on Blake Griffin. If anybody wants to try and make an argument for Blake Griffin's over, and like I don't know how you do it. I mean, you just, I guess, say he takes more shots. But like if you're going to say, oh, but look at game 1, I'll say that's his best shooting performance since literally 2018 on that much volume. So if you think that he can repeat what he did for the first time in 2.5 years, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of rejuvenation because he's now in this team. They gave him some open looks. I think they're going to close out a little bit more they didn't respect him at all in game 1. I think they do a little bit more in this one. Griffin played well. He played really good in that first game. I'll take the under 12.5 points when everybody's betting the over and getting me a really nice under number. Crowder or Bridges today? If I had to pick one, I would take rankings-wise, I believe it's going to be, let's see. I'll take Crowder. I think rankings-wise, it might be Bridges, though. Let's see. So rankings-wise, it's going to be Bridges slightly, but I think there's a really good chance Bridges really locks down on defense, taking away from energy on offense. That's more of a narrative thing, but actually something to it. I'll take Crowder over Bridges. It's very close. Bridges is my number 7 play in the slate today. Crowder is my number 11, but I'll still take Crowder. That's point per dollar-wise. Giannis, Lopez, and Harris, or Jokic, Green, and Middleton. Giannis, Lopez, Harris for me. That's a pretty easy one. Sal, what's up, my guy? What's going on, Andrew? How you doing? Shaman or Forbes today? Give me Forbes. KD and Joe Harris or Kyrie and MPJ? KD and Joe Harris. KD or Jokic? KD. James or Campazzo today? I will take James. Way cheaper. When did you say you were live streaming the NFL best ball? We do one every single Friday afternoon. We do a live stream for them. But if you are a Patreon member, we're going to try and maybe 7 up for Wednesday because there's only one NBA game, so less work for me to have to prepare for that. Not going to do a live stream for that. Chris Paul or Drew Holiday today? Right now in my rankings, it's going to be Chris Paul. Like them both a lot. Drew Holiday is going to shoot a lot better and pick up more assists today. Bridges or Gordon today? Give me Gordon. You think Shamet could start in this game? I think he could, yeah. I'm going to be really interested to see who starts for them. We're going to get that news pretty damn quickly since the game starts in 45 minutes. You like Joker today? Yes, but I like KD and Giannis more. Bucks or Nets on the spread? I took the Nets plus 2.5. I don't think you can find that anywhere else. I got it right when it dropped, literally like after the last game. Or the Bucks 2.5. I think that's what I said, right? Also, to all the people watching right now, we have not a new sponsor. They sponsored this program twice before, but the sponsor is Cuts Clothing. What I'm wearing right now is just a black tee. It might just look like a black tee. It might not look like anything crazy, but it's a black tee that is its own unique. It's not like polyester or anything like that. It's very unique material to where you can wear this. It's kind of crazy. You can wear this either to the gym. You can wear this out to the bar, which I've done this all. Out to the bar. You can wear this casually to the park if you're just like walking around throwing a football, whatever, right, to the beach. You can wear this anywhere you want. You can wear this out to dinner. I've done that with my girlfriend literally like a week or two ago. It's Cuts Clothing. So what it is it's just kind of a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle clothing, and it's very, very, I would say, affordable but comfortable. It's the most comfortable shirt. I always try and find shirts that don't shrink in the wash. This doesn't. All the other ones do. Shirts that when they come out of the wash are not insanely wrinkled, so I can throw them in, dry them, and then actually wear them without having to steam them or iron them and all that type of stuff. I'm putting this screen up right now because you can see 15% off your first order if you use that link right there, cutsclothing.com/Sal Vetri. You can check it out. Now, they don't only have t-shirts. They don't only have black. I just got a black one because I just like the way that looks, especially if you're going out with jeans or something along those lines. They have a bunch of different clothes. I have a hoodie as well. I have a polo from them as well. All of it's fantastic. You can check them out. It's a little bit of a different sponsor for this program, but check them out. See what you want to do. Obviously, my demographic is very 99% male in the ages of like 20 to 55. So that fits exactly what they're trying to aim for. I like the clothing a lot. This is probably currently my favorite shirt that I own right now. So check it out down below if you want to. If you have any questions, just let me know. Candle game going strong there. Oh, yeah, it's going big strong. Rivers or Morris? Give me Morris. Do you still like Mike James if he doesn't start? Look, I'm telling you this right now. So if you're just getting into this right here, I'm not really big on Mike James today. If you told me that you're playing in a cash game, yeah, you should probably play Mike James. If he doesn't start, probably wouldn't play him. Do I think Mike James starts today? No. But without knowing what's going to happen, we'll see what ends up. Without knowing what the starting lineup is, we'll wait, and any minute we'll get that. I think there's a really good chance Bruce Brown starts. That's who checked in for Harden. That's who got the run in the regular season. If that's the case, there's a really good chance that you see Mike James play 18 minutes today. And if there's a really good chance a guy plays less than 20 minutes today in a rotation, right? There's a chance Bruce Brown just plays 30, Tyler Johnson gets 10 to 12, and Mike James gets 16 to 18 to 20. And even at his cheap price point, he could still pay it off for you. But if people are playing him because of his last performance and they think that just means he's going to play in this game, a guy who can't play defense, a guy who was playing because it was a blowout and they didn't need his defense, you're mistaken. And for some reason, the entire public, I don't know if there's less content being made today. I don't know if people are just seeing the cheap price point and looking at the game logs of what he did last time. That's not how DFS works these days. But Mike James is massively owned. Blake Griffin's ownership, although not sustainable performance, it's warranted because he is in line for 30 to 33 plus minutes today. There's nobody else. Jeff Green's not there. He's getting those minutes. Mike James is not in line for anything today. He's not in line to start. We'll see any second that can change. He's not in line to play even 15 minutes today, right? So nothing that he did in that last game makes them say, oh, we got to get Mike back in the game today. No, not at all. He didn't play defense. He made 4 of his first 6 shots and then missed the next 2. So he wasn't that crazy in the game. He just, by the way the game flowed and it being a blowout, wasn't that crazy, right? He shot 5 of 11. That's 45%. That's fine. It's not terrible. It's not good. Or it's not great. It's fine to good at best. So, yes. His price point came up $300. That's the reason why people want to own him. They want to try and fit in these lineups that are featuring Kyrie, KD, and Giannis, and I understand you want to do that, and they want to go massively stars and scrubs, but that can blow up in your face if Mike James plays 14 minutes and scores 8 fantasy points today. That can blow up in your face. Fade Mike James equals garbage, says Danny H. Yeah, nobody out there is telling you to fade Mike James. I'm personally saying that if he's not starting today, I'm okay to get away from Mike James in my single entry lineups. Yeah. Sal, KD and Ayton or Jokic and Gordon? KD and Ayton. Sal, are you picking from the heart or are you a stats and numbers guy? A little of both. Would you say? Dude, so many people don't know the difference between cash and GBP. It's unreal. Video idea. I already did a video idea on that like 2 or 3 years ago. It's already out there, cash versus GBP. Am I going from the heart or am I a numbers guy? I mean, I have my own algorithms. I project everything out from game pace to my own totals to I'm very heavily leaning analytics, but I also watch all the film and look at the rotation. So There's no heart. I'm not saying I like Kevin Durant, so I'm playing him today. No. If I wanted to do that, I wouldn't put my money up. I would just watch the game if I liked him, right? So no. This is 80% analytics and 20% going back and actually watching the defensive one-on-one matchups. Not as much in the regular season because there's like 15 games, but there's just 1 or 2 games you could actually look at the on-ball film. They have a lot of sites that do that pretty nicely. You can see every single every single possession in that first game that Mike James played defense. You can go back and watch it. Pretty bad. You can go watch Blake Griffin's and actually relatively above average, above my expectations. Mike James or Austin Rivers today. As it stands right to now, I will go Mike James. So, do you like Holiday and Paul on Prize Picks? I took Paul's over 32 fantasy points earlier today. Morris or Compazzo? Morris. I have 4K left in an open utility spot. I need someone in the Denver Suns game. Rivers, Green, or Cam Johnson. Give me Cam Johnson. Rivers will play the most minutes, but give me Cam Johnson. Aaron Gordon or Monty Morris? Monty Morris. If you're not playing Mike James, who should you play? Claxton? I would definitely play Mike James over Claxton. I like Bruce Brown and Blake Griffin over Mike James from his own team. And if you need more value options, you can go either Cam Johnson, Pat Connaughton. Look, if Mike James is not starting today, there is no reason that you should think that he just plays 26 to 28 minutes. If he's not starting today, there's a really good chance he's just trying to fight for 20 minutes in this game. And also, we kind of have to keep in mind as well that it's just not Mike James going out there and like not having anybody on him, right? Like if you expect Mike James to go out there again, and even if he scores 12 real life points, I'm not expecting 7 rebounds out of a point guard again. Right? So a lot went right in that last game for him. Not all of that is likely to go right this game. I understand the price point is the reason you want to play him, but ownership's a thing. Play him in cash games, of course. You want to play him in 60% ownership, I think I can get away, especially because he's not a lock. So I guess I'm playing the Connaughton route. Yeah, going to Connaughton for Mike James is a big risk. I don't think you have to do any of that. Like I can play Bruce Brown and Blake Griffin today instead of having to force Mike James in. I can do exactly the same stuff I want to do. Exactly the same stuff I want to do. Kyrie and Crowder or KD and Rivers? Give me... I'll take Kyrie and Crowder. CP3 or Book? I'll take CP3 for the price discount. I like him more, point per dollar wise. Loki missed a green screen Galaxy background. Yeah, very low budget, so don't want to go there again. Drew Holiday or Middleton today? If I had to pick one between those two, it's tough. I'm going to go Drew Holiday. Griffin or Portis? Griffin. KD and Giannis or Booker, Jokic, and Middleton? Well, you just gave me... KD/Giannis. I'll go KD and Booker over Jokic and Middleton. Actually, I'll go Giannis and Booker. Giannis and Booker if you could afford it. Giannis or Jokic in the tiers? Giannis. Can you show the top plays? Yeah, I wouldn't be strictly just locking these guys into your lineup because there's a lot more nuance to this. These are the top 6 point per dollar plays, but there is 14 guys in a strong interest pool for me. So these are just 6 of the 14 guys that I really like today. So this is somewhat of a sample. If you want to see more than just this sample right here, you can sign up for Patreon, which is the link right in the description. Let's look at some of the top projected lineups. So the Big Energy Optimizer, if you want to get this optimizer, I highly recommend it. Oh boy, let's go to the screen. I highly recommend it. You can change a lot of things with groups, especially on 2-game slates and showdown slates. The groups are always important, mainly for some other sports where there's actually correlation, but they're important to block out getting repeating lineups. And on showdown and 2-game slates, if you're not using groups out there, like if you're using an optimizer that doesn't have the ability to do groups, I don't know what you're wasting your money on. Honestly, like you're just getting smashed by people who actually have groups. But if you're trying to enter 5 to 10 to 20 lineups by hand, you're also going to get absolutely smacked and dominated if you're not properly trying to take into account groups. And sure, you can do that on a piece of paper and spend 2 hours doing it and trying to get all the correlations down. Or you can just use a groups tool, which is very, very easy and efficient. So if you want to sign up for Patreon, you can get that down below. All the Patrons know what I'm talking about. But here's some of the top projected lineups. This is with a lot of randomness. So I started to put a lot of randomness on. And you can see what's starting to happen. Like Mike James is going to be in a massive amount of lineups. Like he looks like a fantastic play today. Even with a lot of randomness, he looks like a fantastic play because of how cheap he is. He's more so a punt. That does not mean that he cannot bust, and that is why in my single entry lineups, I'm okay to get away from him. In 150s, it's very much a risk and probably not worth the risk if you're playing all 150 lineups. If you're playing one lineup in a 150 max today, you don't play Mike James because that's called trying to get leverage across a field, and fading the highest one guy is the way to do it. But if you're playing 150 lineups in 150 max, I think it's okay to play him because then you're just taking on unnecessary leverage if you're going to full-on fade him. But in my small field single entry stuff, I'm okay to get away from Mike James. But you can see where some options start to go. Like Drew Holiday, very much like him. Giannis and KD is where I want to start most of my lineups today. Like single entry, I'm trying to start with Giannis and KD. So these are exposures. Jay Crowder is somebody that I think will be on the court a lot, upwards of potentially 40 minutes of play because of his defense today. Similar things for McCall Bridges. I just like Crowder's offensive ability a little bit more. Bridges more so relying on the 3-ball, which can give you some big spikes. Brook Lopez, 29% in 150s. Going to be in my single entry, though. Somebody of a priority for me. And yeah, you can see down here is where you start to just get some value pieces filling it in. Not too much ownership at all. 1% Bryn Forbes. You can't see it, but he's 1% owned for me. Not much PJ Tucker or any of these guys down here. Unless something changes in the lineups, which I continue to try and check the lineups to see if we get a starting lineup. We're only a half hour away from these games tipping off. And no starting lineups there. So you can see some of these top projected lineups. Let's go back up to the top. And then we can talk through some of that. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, one-on-one. Too young to even understand either of those guys' games on a deep enough extent to tell you who I think wins there. I would say Magic Johnson, but couldn't even tell you. Could not tell you confidently. Kyrie or Booker? Kyrie. In tiers, Kyrie, still projected higher. How do you feel about Booker today? Booker is my... Booker is my number 12 play. It's just tougher to get there because in his price range, I much prefer Kyrie for $700 more, and I would take Booker over Middleton. So he's in a price range where it's kind of weird. Like, you're not really in the $8,500 range often, and if you are, I would just rather get up to Kyrie. So let me throw Roy G out. Yeah, I already did it earlier. Pat Con, PJ Tucker, Bobby Portis. Pat Connaughton. Did we lose the stream? Okay, we're good. What do you have Michael Porter projected for? Let's pull up his minutes and I'll tell you projection-wise on him. Pull up Denver's minutes, boy. I've got Michael Porter for 36 minutes today. I'm a little bit lower on other people because I think there's a big issue for Michael Porter today in terms of the defense against him. Like Jay Crowder and more than likely McCall Bridges will be on him, and that's tough for Michael Porter. Like Michael Porter gets hot off of screens, which Jay Crowder or McCall Bridges will fight through harder than probably anybody in the NBA right now. He is fantastic. McCall Bridges, you might not know how good he is because you watch or you just play DFS or just bet props and his fantasy points are low, things like that. He is a fantastic playoff basketball player in terms of what he can do on defense and obviously space the floor from three. Michael Porter, I have today ranked as my number 17 overall play. I'm going to be much lower interested in Michael Porter today than the field. I'll be below him on ownership than most other people today. I think Porter comes in 35% owned. I will definitely be below that today. It's a really tough matchup for Michael Porter. That's factored into my projections, and it is clearly showing. Sal, let's get this money. Can I get your thoughts on Booker and Portis or Lopez Middleton? Booker and Portis or Lopez Middleton? Give me Lopez Middleton. You like Morris today? Yes. Bridges is so underrated. Completely agree. There's a reason why McCall Bridges plays 35 minutes a game in the regular season, and he's going to play 40 minutes a game in these series moving forward. McCall Bridges is locking up Michael Porter Jr. I think there's a really good chance that happens. I think they should put McCall Bridges on Michael Porter Jr., yes. I have both Nets backups, Brown and James, in the same lineup. Should I replace one with Tucker? No, I'd rather have those two over Tucker. More overweight, Gordon, Harris, or Crowder? More overweight on Gordon, Harris, or Crowder? Crowder. By a good amount. What about Landry today? If he doesn't start, I'm really not that interested. So people are asking about prize picks. These are the prize picks that I took this morning. These are all the prize picks. I didn't power play them all together. Actually, I think I flex played a big one. And then I took individuals. So these are the prize picks that I took this morning. Prize picks is just player props, so it's just as simple as taking the over-unders. You can tail them, link down below if you want to. If you use the code SAL when you sign up, they'll double your money up to $100 risky. So you literally just get free money to play with if you use the code SAL and test this out in the postseason, especially when there's less games on. It's not as fun to play DFS in my opinion. I've been pretty open and transparent over the last 2 weeks since basically the first round ended, and we don't have 4-game slates and 5-game slates anymore. Showdown slates and 2-game slates, I'm not playing as much money on. There's just not as much, I would say, leverage points to be in when everybody's 30% to 50% owned, right? Hey, Sal, did I miss prize picks tonight again? No, in the video this morning, they went up. We're talking about them right now. These are the ones I took. Rivers over 2. Tucker under 15 fantasy points. Chris Paul, I really like over 32 fantasy points. Crowder over 21 immediately went up after we got it, and it should have. I have him at 27. And Blake Griffin under 12.5 real life points, as every single donkey out there bets the over on Blake Griffin because he did really good in game 1. And they think, oh, Blake Griffin did that good in game 1. He's obviously going to score more than 12 in this game. Yeah, okay, guys. Let's see what his points are at now. Blake Griffin's points are still at 12.5, so there you go. The donkeys are clearly betting him up. Kyrie and Connaughton or CP3 and Monty Morris? CP3 and Monty Morris for me. Game heavy on the Brooklyn game. I think that makes a lot of sense because those guys are going to just play insane minutes, and obviously that total looks fantastic. So the total in the Brooklyn game is a 234 total compared to a 220 total. So 14 more expected points in Brooklyn, Milwaukee, with their starters keying into play a lot of minutes today, especially Brooklyn with no James Harden. Yes, I like Brooklyn, Milwaukee targeting that game more. There are very valuable pieces, though, in those other games. I will be well over the field on Jay Crowder today. I like Chris Paul a lot today. On the opposite side of that game, Denver's the team that I like the least on this slate. So I'm not as much there. I'm not as much there on Denver today. Just all either appropriately priced or really tough defensive matchups, or people overweighting some of the guys, or overpriced, like Campazzo, massively overpriced today, right? What's up, fellas? Been missing y'all. Sal, my man. What's up? Been crazy. So glad to be here. Hey, what's going on? Smash the like. Come on, guys and girls. Help the boy out. Hey, what's going on, Evan? Evan, the hype man in the chat right now. We'd like to see it. Favorite plays on SuperDraft today? Yes, so over on SuperDraft today, I think they have $2,000 to first again. My top projected player is Giannis by 6 points. Outside of that, though, like outside of the obvious big stars like Durant and Jokic, all these guys look fantastic. To try and get some sort of an edge, Jake Crowder at a 1.8x multiplier is probably the best like leverage play at a high multiplier. Blake Griffin 1.7x also good, but expect him to be higher owned because of his last game. I thought I was going to see a Julio to Titans video. Would have lost money. Thought you would be all over it. I mean, the news came out on a Sunday. Me making a video that 1,000 people watch in the middle of summer that does not impact fantasy football at all in the middle of summer. Like, obviously, you're doing best ball drafts, but I'm pretty sure you can make it through the one day. There's a video already scheduled to come out tomorrow, and it's about specifically Calvin Ridley and why he is now a top 4 wide receiver for me, borderline top 3 in my rankings. But it just doesn't make sense. Like, unless you're breaking the news yourself and you're getting a video up in the first hour, trying to put a Julio like on a Sunday when I'm chilling out, relaxing, maxing all cool, when I have plans for lunch, right? When the last thing I want to do is do a breaking news Julio video that does nothing for me, right? Informs like people on a Sunday when everybody else is doing their own thing as well, right? They're chilling out. The world is back and opening and running. And if you're in a place where it's not, pray for you. But yeah, doing a 10-minute video on that. But one on Calvin Ridley is going to come out. That's kind of my pivot off of it. But it's a video that actually lasts longer than one day. Like, everybody wants to do the video out there. Like, nobody thinks they want to be the first to market, but the Julio Jones is gone from the Titans. They'll get a couple thousand views on a video. People will like it, watch some of it. It's all the same fucking analysis. But then that video is dead. Because 2 months from now, people aren't going to care about your video on your instant reaction to Julio Jones. They're going to care about actual stuff that lives a little longer. So my video is going to be Calvin Ridley being a top 5 receiver, which will touch on Julio leaving, but people will actually watch that in months. Brown is starting. I like Shaman tonight. Yeah, Brown starting makes a lot of sense. So, another notch in the belt if you're not going to play Mike James in single entries tonight. Another notch in the belt for the home team. I mean, it makes sense that Bruce Brown is starting. He was the player who checked. I mean, he's played a lot more minutes with this starting unit. He started a lot of games in this situation. He is more experienced, of course. Plays definitely better defense than you're going to be getting. He's a little bit more of a two-way guard, but better defense than Mike James. And, he came in for James Harden when he got injured literally 30 seconds into the fucking game. So, yes. Does that make Mike James a complete fade? In my single entry lineup, I'm probably not playing Mike James. Does it make him a bad play today? No. So, a lot of people are going to get twisted what I'm saying here today. Single entry lineup, I'm not personally playing Mike James. I think I can leverage off of a 60 to 70% owned single entry small field Mike James. I think there's enough to leverage off of that. If you're playing 150s today and you're not playing 150 lineups and you're playing in the contest with 100 grand to first and you're only dishing out there 1 to 5 to 7 lineups, I'd probably be underweight on Mike James because you need to find leverage somehow. If you're not playing 150 lineups and 150 max, you are going in with a massive disadvantage. You are sprinting uphill in the rain and the snow and sand, and it's just tough to get up that hill. So you might as well try and get a little bit of a cheat code and ahead of everybody. If Mike James just doesn't produce well tonight, you're getting ahead of 60% of the field in there, right? Thoughts on Drew Holiday? I think big bounce back in for Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. More so Drew Holiday, though, because his matchup on the defensive side is not going to be as hard as a Chris Middleton when Kevin Durant was just absolutely fucking stunning him towards the end of that game on defense. Sal, do you like Lopez on Prize Picks? Yes. Lopez's fantasy points I liked on Prize Picks this morning. Chris Paul or Holiday today? Chris Paul ranks out right now better for me. Holiday more so on SuperDraft, but both of them look good. They're both top 12 plays, both yeses. Does that reduce your 24 projected minutes for James today? I was kind of already projecting this in, like a split in minutes right there. It's not going to reduce my projected minutes. I don't think it'll change my projection on James. It might change it a little. Let me see what I have him at. So Mike James today I have at 22.3 fantasy points. Him not starting I was leaning on Bruce Brown to start. So I have Bruce Brown at 24 and Mike James at 24. There's a chance Mike James plays 22, Bruce Brown plays 26 now. I'm not really expecting Bruce Brown to play a full 30 minutes, but obviously with Bruce Brown starting, there's a better chance he plays a full 30. We'll see who's in the starting run. Mike James was in the closing run. Mike James was in the closing run last time out, but when you're up by 19, it's easier to put a guy out there that you don't care too much about his defense, right? So, yeah. Owning a 60% owned guy who's coming off the bench and has literally not that one game of experience where he like showed out for you, right? There was like 2 in the regular season. Just seems like a lot of recency bias to me, fellas. Oh. But yeah, no, I'll give Mike James like 22 minutes still. Tucker's starting right now. Yeah, Tucker, they announced like an hour ago that he's starting it again. Throw a prayer at PJ Tucker. I'm good. No, I'm good. James or Rivers now? Yeah, I mean, Mike James is still going to project out better. Your total lineup ownership depends on what you want to. Your contest today and your total lineup ownership. If you're playing in a small field single entry where Mike James is going to be 75% owned today, I like getting away from that. If you're playing in a 150 max where you have 1 to 5 lineups and you need to get leverage, I like getting away from that. If you're playing in a 20 max or 150 max and you can max out the tournament, you don't have to pivot away. You can actually leverage the field by getting more Mike James, right? Sound SuperDraft, is Crowder over Campazzo easily correct? Yes. Not even close. Give me Crowder over Campazzo. Yeah, check out SuperDraft today, too. Their contest, $2,000. Pretty nice. Bridges or Griffin in the tiers today. So just straight up points today. I have Blake Griffin at 26.7 points, and I have Bridges at 26.6. So I have them at the exact same amount of points. Flip a coin. Blake Griffin will be higher on Goldman Call Bridges. KD over 32. Kyrie over 28 real-life points. That KD over 32 sounds really juicy. Let's see. Let us see. I had the Kyrie over 27.5 in that last game, and he was so efficient. He had like 25, and then he couldn't make his last couple of shots. It was brutal. Didn't get me the over in that game. Pat Connaughton or Rivers, Durant or the Greek Freak, but my answer is actually both. What's the name of the site, Prize Player? It is called Prize Picks, my fella, but I am a prize player if that's what you're asking for. But Prize Picks, you use the code SAL. It's linked down below, and you get yourself free money bonus up to $100 Rooskies. You can see right here. These are the ones that I took earlier this morning. But yeah, it's linked down. It's also linked down below, so I can help you out. Tucker or Green today? I'll take Green. On SuperDraft, is Morris over Jay closer? I still think it's Morris. Monty Morris over Jay Crowder today on SuperDraft. I have Jay Crowder by a significant amount. Really not that close for me. I have Jay Crowder on SuperDraft right now by about 6.5 fantasy points. What do you think about Monty today? On DraftKings, he looks quality. He's my second favorite nugget behind Jokic. But he kind of gets buried behind some of the other values. He's in a weird spot. Do you like Holiday today? Yes, I like him more than Middleton. I think he bounces back in a pretty significant way, and he has really not that tough a defensive matchup where Middleton does. Either way, I don't think they're both going to shoot like shit. Holiday shot like 38% in that last game. You're going to see much better shooting out of both those guys. I mean, Middleton shot so bad. But yeah, Prize Picks, Mel Smith is the name of the site. Brooklyn minutes. Yeah, we can put Brooklyn's minutes up on the screen right now, and then I can close out the thought on somebody who asked me about the real-life points on both Durant over 32 points today. The Durant over 32 points today for me is a no bet. I think it looks pretty solid where he's at. And the Kyrie Irving over bet today on 28.5 points is a no bet. So neither of those are a bet for me. Lopez, Crowder, I'd take Lopez. Between Lopez and Crowder, I'll take Lopez as well. So somebody wanted Brooklyn's minutes. Brooklyn's minutes are on the screen outside of Shamet, who I have at 18 minutes today. This actually changed. So this is now 25 and 22. So that's where I'm at on these guys. And Bruce Brown's now a yes. Okay to fade both Durant and Greek Freak. I'm going to probably play both of them. So is it okay to fade them? Yes, you have viable pivots in Jokic and Booker and Kyrie that can put up points. Yeah, you don't have to play those two guys specifically. I will, though. Isn't this the perfect spot for Kyrie to just go crazy? Hell yeah. I like Kyrie a lot today. Kyrie projects out for me today for 50.6 points. It is a perfect spot for him to go crazy as his assist percentage increases. I have Kyrie right now today as my number 8 overall play on the slate. I do have Giannis and KD higher, though. Those guys are just going to be in an insane spot. Also, keep in mind that, it's not like you're getting an ownership discount on Kyrie. I expect Kyrie to probably be the second or third highest owned guy behind the Brooklyn Nets value today. And Durant's, I'll just take the ownership discount on Kevin Durant. Yet again, what have we been saying all postseason? Oh, look at this. Kevin Durant, out of all the studs, is the lowest owned. What do you look at? What do you look today? Kevin Durant, he's still going to be 40% owned, but he'll be the lowest owned. Okay to fade both Durant and Kyrie. Sure, it's a 2-game slate. There's other guys to go to. I don't want to fade Durant, but you can. Thoughts on Claxton? Not really there. Last guy in Morris or Gordon? Morris. If I was to fade James, who should I replace him with? Well, you're not going to get a direct fade. So if you're trying to replace Mike James today because you don't want to play him at 3,300, you're not going to have a direct pivot. Like, if that's all the money you have left over, you have to change something else in your lineup. Bruce Brown, I'd rather play over him. Blake Griffin, I'd rather play over him. And that's all I personally have to play. I don't have to dig for the dumpster dives in Nicholas Claxton today. If you want to play Cam Johnson, if you wanted to play Pat Connaughton, guys who won't start will come off the bench, and you're just very similar to Mike James today, right? You're just hoping that they can leverage off of him. That's fine. So Cam Johnson, Pat Connaughton, JaMychal Green, these guys are also in line today to play, especially Cam Johnson and Pat Connaughton, 20 to 22 minutes. And, oh, yeah, Mike James is probably going to play 22 minutes today. So it's just so funny. I am baffled at how owned Mike James is today. Like, this is You don't get many days when the market is inefficient. Maybe it's the summer. People aren't creating as much content because it's a 2-game slate. They don't know how to create content on 2-game slates because it's the playoffs and it's a lot more that goes into it. But the fact that a guy who's going to play 22 minutes off the bench and Mike James is going to be 50% owned today, and then Cam Johnson and Pat Connaughton are going to play 20 to 22 minutes off the bench today and going to be 12% owned. Oof. Oof is all I got to say to that. Oof. Oh, man. That's just funny. And I get it. Mike James is the cheaper one. That's why it's happening. But, man, call your video, look what Julio started. I think it's going to be called, I think I'll just call the video, like, it's crazy. I get it. Like, people are making their own content. Like, obviously, a lot of people are probably making DFS content for today. So I don't have much room to stand on. But it's wild how, like, I listened to 2 pieces of content about the Julio thing today. 2 pieces of content I actually respect. It's the exact same analysis. It's like, yo, find something deeper than just what everybody else is talking about. Like, if it takes you an extra 10 minutes of watching some film and you can touch on something else from how Julio looked last year, just find something different than what everyone else has said. Like, why are you going to turn on the mics and just say the same shit as everybody else? That's what I at least hope, that my content, whether it's football or whether it's this type of content, is different than other people's. Because, man, and that's why I don't really listen to much other people's. In NBA DFS, I literally have not listened to content in like 2 years in NBA DFS, other content. When it comes to NFL, I don't try and listen to NFL fantasy content. I listen to NFL like actual league content. So whether it's the PFF podcast, things like that. So they're looking at like offensive lines, things like this, which not a lot of people talk about in the fantasy space. But man, oh man. Over 5 rebounds on Holiday, it's a no bet for me. Harris overpriced. I think Harris is appropriately priced. He'll still get all the shots from 3. It's just a matter of if he makes them. Forbes or Connaughton? Give me Connaughton. Monty Morris and Giannis or Kyrie and Drew? I'll take Kyrie and Drew. Campazzo or Payne? Give me Payne. 8.2 remaining, and I need 2 guards today. Best of luck. I mean, give me some options. Who do you like? Bruce Brown's one of them. Then you got like 5K left. Under on Claxton, it's a no bet for me. Mike James or Rivers today? I personally don't want either. So the answer for me is neither. If you really want to play one, you can go ahead and play the chalky Mike James. Give me Rivers. Fuck it. No, give me Rivers. Rivers is going to start and play 32 minutes. Mike James is coming off the bench for 20 or 22. I feel like I'm the biggest Mike James hater today, but man, oh man. Since how often does playing a 60% owned player off the bench with not much experience and can't play defense in the postseason work for you? I don't know. It could clearly work today. He can score 20, no doubt about it, but I don't know. From a GTO standpoint, Claxton over James seems like the move. Thoughts? Claxton over James is fine, yeah. I don't have anything against that. I don't want to play either of them in a single entry. Sad brother, I like what you've done to the place. Haven't been here since NFL, says Will. Keep growing the brand. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully you like what we've done. We might do a little bit different. I have blackout curtains coming, which are going to create more of a glow effect on me. Might put a backlight on me to kind of make a shine on me to make me pop out a little bit more. But for the most part, we're kind of up and running for NFL. SuperDraft plays, yeah, we touched on them earlier, but I think Jay Crowder looks like the best, sneakiest play, 1.8x multiplier. Other than that, it's just the fucking studs. It's Kevin Durant, it's Jokic, it's Kyrie, right? It's these fucking studs, it's Giannis. Alrighty, gang. We've been live for about 50 minutes, so I'm going to bounce. If you're still here, hit the like and subscribe. Get your final questions in. If you're not already familiar with the clothing I'm wearing right now, Cuts Clothing, you can check it out down below. It is by far the best t-shirt I've ever worn. You can wear it to the gym. You can wear it on a casual walk. You can wear it out for dinner. No matter what, it all looks very, very similar. It fits every single style. It is breathable. It does not shrink in the wash. It does not wrinkle in the wash. I don't know how the fuck they made their own patent material. They made it well. They made it very nice. You can use that link right there, cutsclothing.com/salvetri, 15% off. And then finally, last but not least, Prize Picks. These are the ones I've taken so far today. You can check them out. They're linked down below as well. That link will get you in the code SAL, free money match up to $100. How low owned is Ayton going to be today? How low owned is DeAndre Ayton going to be today? Pretty low owned. He'll probably be like 20% owned. In a 4 max, how much Mike James do you want? Just in a 4 max? Like you're maxing out a 4 max GPP? How many people are in the GPP? It's more about how many people are in it. If 20,000 people are in it, I'll put them in none of the lineups. If 120 people are in it, I'll probably put them in 2. I don't have much Payne or Forbes. Which one if you had to choose one? Payne. Thanks, Al. No problem. All right, everybody. Peace out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into today's video. We'll be back tomorrow for another 2-game slate. We'll be back tomorrow with an NFL video in the afternoon and another live stream tomorrow afternoon. No live stream on Wednesday because it's only 1 game, so we'll just do a video in the morning. And then maybe we'll live stream in the afternoon in Underdog Draft just for fun. All right, peace out, gang. See you on the next one. Enjoy the games today. Some fun games. It's going to be a totally different series, I believe, now for Milwaukee and Brooklyn. We'll see if that actually happens and pans out today. Sal, do you still like the Crowder over on Prize Picks? I got it at 21. If it's at like 23 or 24 today or right now, sure. Peace out.